Hey there, good morning. Welcome to the JeepSolid garage. So today we're going to be installing our oil pan and lifters on our Project 92 YJ.
Rattlesnakes! Don't drop it. Stop!
And here we have everything we need. I've got some leftover RTV there I'm going to be using, and then my oil pan gasket and the new lifters. This is part of a kit from Engine Tech for my build here. They gave me this kit free of charge to do an installation and review video on. And my regular viewers, you guys might notice my audio might be a little bit different, so I'm using a new wireless microphone right here. And this was made possible by my patrons. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. So this is going to be super handy. I can just kind of move around and do what I need to do and not have to worry about my audio. It's just right there all the time. So that'll work out well. Let me know what you guys think. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, follow along as I'm taking this engine through a rebuild. And then when I finally get it back in this 92 YJ and fire it up, and we'll see how the break-in goes. So I'm finally to the point of where I'm ready to do the oil pan gasket, get that all set. We've got the pistons, crankshaft, camshaft, all that installed, obviously. That's all part of a playlist I'll link in the description below. The engine, I painted it, and it did not turn out the way I wanted. I was going just for a gray paint, nothing fancy. But it actually turned out very silver, almost like a tin foil, and it is not the look I was going for, but it'll do once you get all the accessories on there. You barely even see it. But the paint I used, it's just a high heat ultra from Rust-Oleum, and it had a nice gray look to it, and that's all I was going for. But instead we got what I call a nice tin foil look. But I'm not super worried about it. It is what it is. It turned out okay. And once I get the head on it, the distributor, the oil filter, the cooling lines, the manifold, you're barely going to see it anyways, so yeah, I think it's fine. So let's flip it back over here so we can do our oil pan. We're also, like I said, doing the lifters. But before we do the lifters, I can't flip it upside down like this because the lifters will just fall out, right? And my oil pan gasket is going to sit on here like this. But we're going to actually add a little bit of RTV in a few points here. So on each side of the timing chain cover, right here where the timing chain cover meets up with the block, I got a little bit of RTV on there already from when I installed the cover. I need to clean that up, get it nice and smooth, cut away this excess. You can see a little bit of excess RTV there. Get rid of that. Same thing on the other side. And then down here on the other end of the engine where the bearing cap meets up with the engine block right here, we're going to put just a little dab of RTV there as well on both sides. So I was just outside cleaning up these bolts for my oil pan, getting them ready for installation, and it's raining out a bit, so my cardboard box here got a bit wet, but that's okay. I've still got everything organized. So that's one of the things I like to do, because some of these bolts are different. Some are stud bolts, some have little brackets on it for holding different lines under your engine. So make a little pattern of the oil pan and place all these bolts in a little cardboard box like this just to help keep them organized so you can get everything back where it goes. Okay, now the surface where the gasket is going to sit is all nice and cleaned up on the engine, and the oil pan gasket surface is all cleaned up nicely. Okay, just a little bit of RTV on those little joints there. And we can lay our gasket in place. All right, gasket looks good. Let's gently set our oil pan on here. It's so nice and easy to do this with the engine upside down. Just lay the oil pan on there, the gasket and all that. If you're doing a regular oil pan gasket and you're underneath there, it actually helps to take a couple bolts and put it in place. cut the heads off, go to the hardware store, get a bolt the same size obviously, cut the head off and use it as a guide to kind of get it in place. That's a tip that kind of works pretty well. It all looks lined up good, so let's start dropping some of our bolts in place. All right, let's snug these guys down and then we will torque them. Alrighty, so let's see, the 1/4 inch bolts get torqued to 84 inch-pounds, and the larger, the 5/16 bolts get 132 inch-pounds. I'm gonna start in the center and kind of work my way out. All right, let's flip this guy over and install our lifters. And here these guys are from Engine Tech, as I mentioned earlier. And these are for our flat tapped cam. Just your basic hydraulic lifters. And if you remember from our camshaft installation video, we have that camshaft break-in lube. We saved a little bit. We saved a little bit of it for the lifters. Here we go. So here it is, cam shield, camshaft assembly paste, and most likely on our build, if we end up with a point of failure, I'm thinking most likely it'll end up being the camshaft. So we want to be very careful that we're using the proper break-in fluids and the proper assembly lubes on it. And this is just a high zinc assembly lube designed for camshafts. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our nice shiny brand new lifters here. There's our oiling hole. Let's see if we can focus on that better. There we go. There's the inlet hole and then the little hole on the top there that shoots oil up the push rod. So we're going to take these guys, we're going to put it on the end of our magnet here. We're going to take a little bit of our cam lube and lube up the sides and the surface here. I dropped this one down onto the camshaft already just to test the fit. So it's got a little bit of the cam lube on it from my camshaft. But anyways, we're going to lube it up real good and drop them down into place. Now, some of you may have heard that, or some people might soak these in oil before they install them to like help prime them, that kind of thing. But from what I've read, the research I've done, that's not really necessary. These prime themselves almost immediately. So I don't think it's really necessary that you have to do that. And also, I didn't want a layer of oil on the lifter. I wanted my camshaft lube, this high zinc lube, to be directly on the lifter here. I didn't want a layer of oil in between, so I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, what you guys do. Do you soak your lifters in a tub of oil before you install them? Do you just make sure you get a lot of good cam break-in lube on them before you put them in? What do you guys do? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So this is from the research I've done, the way I decided to do it, and I think it'll be just fine. Got those all lubed up real good, and we should be good to go. So next up will be assembly of the head and installing that. In the meantime, be sure to check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.